Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there.
Yellow, I'm eating toast.
Hi, eating toast. I'm Vice Rhino.
We did that already,
Yeah,
but
but that
off
was off
air.
air.
That
It doesn't count if
makes
it's in
it.
the green room.
I understand. It
Ha
does,
ha ha ha. Hats,
is
hats,
that
hats.
like it's not?
There's a
Is
new
that like
hat.
it's not gay if you can see the shore?
There's a new hat. There's a new hat.
There's a new
guys.
hat?
There's a new hat, guys. There's a new hat. I'm so excited about this fucking hat. It's a fucking new hat, and I'm so excited about it.
Okay. Oh my god!
I got my gay unicorn Gary bucket hat.
It is a gay unicorn Gary
It's
hat.
a gay unicorn Gary bucket hat. Oh, that was Artemis' first hat redeem. Well, this is the excellent hat redeem. I was so worried about this one because it's a fucking Teespring. They're so slow with their printing and shipping and everything. Like, I ordered this in mid-November when we knew we were moving, but the move was like a month and a half away. I'm like, surely that'll be long enough. It'll be fine. But apparently not, because I just got it yesterday.
Huh.
And thankfully, the method that they shipped it, when it got to Canada, it went to Canada Post because I have a mail forwarding address on. Because if it had been one of the private companies, they don't do Canada Post mail forwarding. So then, like, the people who bought my old house would just get this on their doorstep and be like, why the fuck did this guy have a gay unicorn Gary hat? Although in my fantasies, the people who bought the house went to walk through the house. They saw my set and they were fans. They're like, "Oh my god, it's Vice Rhino's house. We need to buy this house."
That was the real censure.
I very much doubt that's the way it went. But if that is the way it went, then they would have been excited for this. So, but no, that's not how it went.
We can always pretend. Just like I can always pretend the Kenobi TV show did the same thing that the books did.
I lost my hat virginity to gay unicorn Gary.
As you should.
That's the best way to lose your hat virginity. Anyway, now that I have a silly hat on, I do need to do some Creator Accountability Network stuff. So then, now I'll just read the statement. Okay, so first off, there's the statement that I've joined. I'm excited to announce that I've joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. I joined because I care about the safety and well-being of my community members. If you feel my behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They'll help make it right and avoid repeating mistakes in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills you think would be helpful or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. Most importantly, get the word out to other creators, Cirrus, who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Help us build safer communities together. Yeah, so that's my third read of that, which means that after I send them the link to this video, I should lose the provisional status on my credential, and I will just be credentialed. Cirrus, however, is not signing he has the paperwork on his desk and just has not signed it.
Basically. That's pretty much what's happened. I was like, oh, well, I've got a bunch of channels and MagFest and everything else. Surely I'll remember to do this.
Yeah, that's okay. I kind of drug my feet about it as well, just because I'm bad at paperwork. But yeah, so this is something that's done per creator, not per show. So this show is not credentialed. I am credentialed. When Cirrus gets credentialed, then the whole show is credentialed. And along those lines, I've been reported already. So I have another statement. I've been reported already. Funnily enough, this isn't actually the first report. I've been reported multiple times, but the other ones were all like little things that was like, yeah, no, somebody thought this was harmful. We don't think that you violated anything. Just thought you'd want to be aware. So yeah. Anyway, I have another statement to read. This is one of the things that they do. On my main channel, when I read the statement, I got a lot of people commenting about how, like, oh, you're signing up for self-censorship. The woke mob got you. It's all cancel culture. Meh. But it's not self-censorship. They were actually quite clear in the training that, like, hey, we actually don't want you to censor yourself. And it's just as much about protecting creators from, people drumming up accusations against them that aren't true, as it is for protecting victims. I mean, they probably lean a little bit more on the victim side because, that's there's a certain power dynamic there, but
there is definitely a power dynamic.
It is about protecting creators as well as protecting their audience. So regarding the last report, we had a back and forth with them, and this is a statement that, like, it isn't like they didn't just send me this and say you must read this or you are not credentialed. It was like a collaborative effort where, we had a call, we talked about it, I emailed back and forth, and we worked on the wording, and I explained what I wanted to get across, and they helped me figure out the way to say it. So I'm reading another statement. This one's a little longer, but this is regarding our live stream with Richard Carrier on December 12th. After speaking with folks at the Creator Accountability Network, we agreed that my assessment of the controversy surrounding Dr. Carrier was too confident, given how little time I had before the stream to research the matter, and that I inadvertently gave the impression that all is forgiven when I was not someone who was harmed by Dr. Carrier, so that's not my decision to make. Many people in my audience shared similar concerns, and I value the feedback and recognize that I need to better research my guests ahead of time, both so that I can be intentional about who I'm bringing into our spaces and so that I'm not at risk of saying things about them that I don't know to be true. The folks that can helped me understand some of these nuances, including how to host different kinds of people on my show and talking about issues with the right level of confidence. I didn't do that this time, but I feel much more able to do so next time. I want to thank everyone who took the time to write to me about this issue and apologize for any harm I caused. I feel very fortunate to be a part of this community that cares about ethics, and your feedback helped me see where I need to make some changes. Because of you, I will be more thoughtful in the future and hope that you continue to feel safe, heard, and respected. I'd also like to make explicit, they didn't, this wasn't in the statement, but I do want to make explicit, they did not, like, none of this is, hey, Carrier should not have been on the channel. They were very clear that, like, it's okay to host people that might have accusations in the past. The issue was that my assessment that I only had 20 minutes to research was too confident. So, Reploid, you've harmed me. Now I've scheduled piss times on Wednesdays and fear of internet artists making smut at alarming speeds. Love you too. Thank you, Reploid 404. But yeah, anyway, that's the statement. I did, the live stream has been unlisted. They did, again, to be clear, I was not told to unlist them by the Creator Accountability Network. That was my decision. Yeah. Oh fuck, what did I miss? Mostly legalese stuff. Not legalese, but like stuff.
Stuff that's not legalese.
Yes. Not really legalese, just covering bases to make sure that everybody feels safe in the community that I want to foster.
Yeah. No, which is understandable. Like, I can understand the perspective of, well, I wasn't one of the victims, so my opinion has less weight. That makes sense.
Duct tape Jake, you missed him being Canadian. Love it. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. So, news time?
News time.
News time. Okay. Some of the stories are short, so we might not run long tonight, but there are 5 stories tonight.
Oh boy. We have much to do then.
Some of them are short. The first one might be one of the short ones, or we might go off on tangents that are related to it, so it will end up being long, so we'll see.
Or unrelated tangents.
Yeah, those are the fun ones, but I feel like there's a lot of tangents to be had on this. But
oh boy.
Yeah, no, this is my Tesla Cybertruck got totaled after it was sideswiped by an e-scooter. All in, I paid $198,000, but insurance is only offering me a fair market value of $77,000. I still owe the bank $171,500. So,
for one, the math's not mathing here. For two, this sounds like, okay,
so
anime fans in my audience, I really want to ask y'all, does this not sound in every single part, like this is an isekai novel. Just the
Okay.
name of a freaking isekai.
There is a picture though. That's the totaled Cybertruck.
How is that totaled? What?
Well, okay. Um, this is an issue with electric battery or electric vehicles. It's not necessarily that it is totaled. It is that
Okay.
insurance companies don't want to pay to replace batteries. So if the battery was in any way damaged, then they'll just be like, nope, that's a write-off. That is an issue with electric vehicles. It's more an issue with insurance rather than electric vehicles. But yeah, so that's the Cybertruck. You know, it doesn't look bad, but I've had issues with cars that where the damage doesn't look bad, but it's actually been totaled in the past. So like, I get that it doesn't look terrible, but at the same time, like this thing has been advertised as you can shoot it with strong guns or whatever. Like you can shoot it with guns and it'll be fine. You can shoot it with bows and arrows, it'll be fine. It's a tank. Like yeah, but it's a tank that died to being lightly tapped by an electric scooter.
I will say electric scooters are are on the heavy side. Like,
well, yeah, batteries are heavy.
Batteries are heavy, and I have an electric scooter, and I've also caused damage to a car with a bicycle before, which weighs less than an electric scooter.
Yeah.
However, that was all on run-of-the-mill vehicles that weren't advertised as post-war tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you said the math isn't mathing, but like the way I'm reading this is that he paid $198,000 for it. Now, in the article, it talks about how like that wasn't just the cost of the vehicle. He's including in that number that he paid a broker $50,000 to make sure that he got one of the original Founders Edition ones. So there's an extra $50,000 on top of that he paid so that he could have one of the special early ones. For
the privilege of saying I have a small dick? Like, basically, I'm just trying to figure out what the...
Yeah, basically. But, and then, so he had a loan for that amount, and he paid it down to $171,500.
What is it with car manufacturers in the United States being headed by Nazis?
I don't know. What other car manufacturers?
Ford.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking historical.
You're
talking about the meme where like people are saying like Elon Musk is this century's Henry Ford.
Yeah. He really is, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
He really is, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. Lenari says this sounds like a rich person's problem. Yeah, and you know what? There's a funny thing about rich people problems. They're not really problems. They're things to laugh at.
Yeah,
there are decisions that you can make.
Which is why I chose this article.
There are decisions you can make when rich that are so astronomically stupid. The only correct thing to do is to point, laugh, and take a piss on whatever the fuck they cherish most. This is one of those times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I just so I am somewhat sympathetic. And I think insurance must work differently in Canada than it does in the States. Shocker, I know. But I am pretty sure that in Canada, if you have a new vehicle, part of the insurance package, like first off, if you buy a new vehicle, you have to get full coverage. You can't just get liability.
That's how it is here as well.
Yeah, so you have to get full coverage, so like fire, theft, all that jazz. But I'm pretty sure here they also have like a depreciation thing factored in where like even if the value of the car when it's totaled, the market value is less than what you owe on it, like they'll make up the difference for the first like 5 years or something of the car's life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that is a thing that is standard in Canadian insurance, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have not gotten in an accident while being fully covered. I've only ever gotten in an accident when I had liability. So I'm not very versed in any of this because it's one of those things that I find so thoroughly uninteresting that unless it happens to me, I'm probably never going to learn about it, regardless of how important it may or may not be.
Well, basically my thought is that if I have a loan on the vehicle, I am going to have the full coverage on it. If I pay cash for the vehicle, liability only.
Yeah, I so my mom has been trying to convince me to maintain full coverage even after the vehicle is paid off. And I may end up doing that just because like
Yeah, I mean, it
it's a
depends.
brand
Like,
new vehicle.
it depends on the price difference, really. And like, also, like, yeah, I also speak as someone who, like, my only experience with cars is either a beater car that really sucks. Well, no, some of my beater cars have been good cars, but like, it's a beater car that I paid $1,000 for, and so like
Mhm.
having full coverage on it after like a few months, that is, I've now paid more for the extra coverage than I would have to just get a new car. Um, so I've either had beater cars or I've had new cars. Those are my only experiences right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've been with one exception. I years ago my mom gave me her old SUV which she used as her business car when I was a kid. And that was like but by the time I got it, it had like 170,000 miles on it, so
Yeah, it's
it was
basically
kind of a
beater.
beater car by that point.
Yeah. Oh, it's still one of my favorite cars that I ever had was a little Nissan. The fuck was it? Altima?
I had a Nissan Altima.
I don't know, but I don't think it was the Altima. I don't know. It was one of the little Nissans that's kind of a sporty car, but also kind of a family car. And I paid $1,200 for that thing, and my intention was to drive it into the ground, but it just never got there. It just kept on going and going and going, and eventually, um, and this is back when I was working in restaurants. I was like, my tips are enough that I can afford the payment on a new vehicle. So why don't I get one? It's like, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
not the best financial decision, but
it's a very gilded cage kind of financial decision.
yeah, it's one of those things where somebody less fortunate than me can. You had the option to have a perfectly good vehicle with no payment, and you traded that in for one that you're paying hundreds of dollars a month for. Ha, you idiot! Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yep. Yeah,
You're allowed to
when
laugh at me for that.
when I got my new vehicle, it was, and actually, I did a stream when this happened, trying to get the funds to take care of it. My car broke down in the middle of a stream that I was doing to get stuff for house repairs. I had my car break down when I went to go get food during that subathon.
Not
So
always the way.
my options became, well, I could transfer all of these funds that are needed for house repairs to car repairs, or and then I was told that my car's bottom was so rusted that it couldn't actually be repaired.
Ah, that's always
So I was
fun.
like, well, looks like I have to buy a new vehicle with this money, or I can get a vehicle that won't break down on me in a year. That's great. So I ended up having I got lucky and my parents were able to co-sign on a or my mom was able to co-sign on the vehicle that I have right now, so I was able to get it for $0 down.
Yeah,
I just had to make sure that I had like my first payment and stuff.
yeah.
So that was that was lucky. Technically I am still paying for that decision now,
Hmm.
but ultimately
You
it was a
you know
decision
what?
that needed to be made.
There comes a point in a car's life where it's the amount I'm paying at the mechanics every month is the same as a payment on a new vehicle.
Yeah, that's where I was at, where I was like every couple of months I had to spend about $700 to $1,000 repairing something on the vehicle,
Yeah,
and my current car payment is 450.
yeah. So
It's about the same.
now that being said, I also have the experience of having a new vehicle that is a lemon. And like, yeah, you're not
Oh,
paying for those repairs, but it's annoying having to have it towed once every couple months.
yeah. I had a couple of recalls on mine, but
Yeah,
nothing so.
because of the issue that I had that made it a lemon, that vehicle now has a lifetime warranty on the transmission.
That's that's not bad at all, actually.
No, it's not bad, but that I didn't get that mail until I had already sold it. So- actually, no, it was just
Jesus.
before I sold it. That was something I was like, okay, hey, dealership, taking this vehicle. It's got a lifetime warranty on the transmission. Don't ask questions about why it's got that. But it does. That's a thing that
It
it has.
it does have that. You know, it's It's like one of those Facebook posts or one of the Twitter posts where they give you a it's a which pill would you take? And it's like, would you take this amount of superpowers, but you randomly get knocked out once every day for 20 minutes and you have no control over when it is. It's one of those things where like this thing's transmission will last forever, technically. It will just get knocked out every once in a while.
I should probably also point out that Fennec has brought up that folks have been calling Teslas swastikars.
Swastikars?
Yeah. I say swastika. Is it swastika?
Swastika.
I don't know. Okay, swastikars. Sure. And apparently
I've never
Musk
heard
is really
it called
mad about
swastika.
that. No?
That is a new one for me.
Okay.
When did
I don't know. Oh, this actually reminds me. So my partner is convinced that this is a Niagara region thing.
Okay.
Do you have people, when they're talking about things that they have seen, do they leave the word had out of that and say, I seen it?
It depends on who. Here, that's a very like Midwestern America thing.
Okay, makes sense that it's Midwestern, because a lot of the speech mannerisms in the Niagara region do kind of match up with the Midwestern ones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is something that like I don't do that myself, but it is very normal for people to say that.
Yeah. Stoff is saying it's not just Midwestern. Like everything in America, it's not just the region that I associate with it. Yeah. But
there's
when
also...
I think of a Midwestern accent, that's a mannerism that comes to mind.
Do people also say, like when talking about drowning, they say, I drowned?
I've only heard somebody say that when they're trying to be silly.
Okay, that is something that people say for real here, and it drives me nuts. Not just the extra ed on the end of drowned, but also they seem to use it in a, like they'll say, like if you're just like struggling underwater and you like by the time you got up you were gasping, like you were desperate for air, they will call that drowning. I drowned because I was underwater for a little bit too long. It's like, no, you didn't. You're still alive, so you did not drown.
That makes me upset. Also, I've just been given information. So you know my hometown I grew up in was Pensacola, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So apparently that's where Kyle Rittenhouse has moved.
Oh.
And now he works in an like America First, very, very Nazi-esque gun shop.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
That tracks 110%. A friend of mine just
well, I mean, what
sent me a thing from them.
Who else is going to hire that guy? They'll see his name and just be like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just there. Say, look who's helping out the swimming weather. We are operating our normal hours. It's a place called Gulf Coast Gun and Outdoors. Apparently that is where he's at now. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I done did drowned. Yeah, I have heard that.
I done did drowned.
I have heard that said to be silly, but yeah, no.
That sounds like somebody's trying to foghorn leghorn themselves.
I actually have a very vivid memory of when I was a kid at the pool. Some school bully held my head underwater for a few seconds, and then as we were leaving the pool, his cohort of bullies were all like, yeah, he drowned you. And I just remember thinking
at least
to myself,
I can
like,
speak with English
yeah, I remember
words.
thinking to myself, I was like, no, he didn't. I'm still alive. What are you talking about? And also that you're putting an extra ed on there. What are you doing?
I know why he put ed in that sentence. He can't escape his.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the story. Cybertruck got totaled. We don't like. There's a whole article with us. Funnily enough, so this was from Torque News. This is just like people being lazy, like they saw a Reddit post and are like, let's write an article and call it news. So like, take it with a grain of salt. This may or may not have actually happened, because it's not hard to find pictures of messed up Cybertrucks. Mm-hmm. So it could have just been somebody trying to make it look bad on Reddit. But what also made me laugh was there, like on the advertisements on the side when I was on this one, was another article where apparently there's a subreddit where Tesla or Cybertruck drivers are mad about anti-Elon Musk hate crimes being perpetrated against them.
What is an anti-Elon Musk hate crime? Is
Oh,
Elon Musk a protected category?
no, they just give them the finger as they're driving around. And that one, I thought about pulling that one for the story, but then it was like, no, this is like a lot of the responses sounded like they were written by AI because it was very sanitized instead of being like, yeah, they gave me the middle finger. It'd be like, they were gesturing rudely with their fingers at me. Like, nobody talks like that. What are you talking about? They gave you the finger. And
I
there,
think
there
what
were a
it
lot of
is.
posts like that. But then, like, what was really funny is that, like, one person, and they were so clearly being sarcastic and trying to just stir the pot or whatever. This person was like, oh, well, you know what? Since we're driving Teslas and we all think like Elon Musk, we should do a hand wave to each other to signify support. And we should use the Elon Musk, my heart goes out to you gesture as the hand wave. And it was so very clearly written from someone who's like just taking the piss.
Except that there are people right now. So there was a pastor, I forget who, Right Wing Watch posted about it.
Oh, yeah,
Who,
yeah, yeah. I saw it. I know
yeah,
what you're talking about.
so
I thought
like
about pulling that one tonight as well. Let's see.
I, I, I understand the thought that it's taking the piss, but I've spent enough time mired in Poe's law that I don't think there's a difference anymore.
Okay, well,
But
let's actually read it. So, like, yeah, okay, we dun, 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 dun. Okay, so this person says we should really salute each other like Elon Musk threw out his heart to the crowd. Deep down inside, we all think like Elon, which is why we purchase his products to support his and his quest to help humanity. Like, to me, that is clearly taking the piss. Like, I don't think they're actually suggesting to do that. However, it would not surprise me if some Cybertruck drivers took that seriously. But then there's also like where the finger. Yeah, so like a person walked by and said nice car jerk while making a rude gesture with his finger. Like, flipped you the bird. Flipped you off. Gave you the finger. Those are all ways that we say that. We don't say making a rude gesture with his finger. That is something ChatGPT says.
yeah,
A cyclist next to the Cybertruck made rude gestures using his fingers. Again, not something that people say. That is something ChatGPT says. But yeah. So that's why I'm not entirely convinced that the news on this news site is actually valid.
it's. I don't understand why we live in a world right now where this is a thing we have to even be concerned about. I don't.
Mm.
I don't want to live in a world where robots probably wrote my news. I don't want to live in that world anymore.
No. Well,
I'm tired of that world.
Speaking of robots writing news, OpenAI believes DeepSeek distilled its data for training. Here's what to know about the technique. Okay. They're taking it seriously or whatever, but like basically what this boils down to is so if you're not familiar, DeepSeek is a Chinese run AI model that is giving ChatGPT and OpenAI and all the ones that have been developed over here a run for their money, because not only do they have similar quality results as the latest model of ChatGPT, they also did it for, if you believe their numbers, which there are reasons to not, but if you believe their numbers, they did it for like less than a tenth the price of what it cost ChatGPT, like all the North American based ones.
Yeah.
To get to that point, it took them less than a tenth. Like they did it for under $6 million.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of news places doing skits about this one.
Yeah, their models apparently run way more efficiently than ChatGPT, so it takes far fewer GPUs to do it. So this announcement basically tanked Nvidia's stock. Now it's still way overinflated for what it is. So like compared to what it was last year, it's still up like 150% or whatever. But like it did tank quite a bit. And that was nice to see. But essentially, what is it? OpenAI, the ChatGPT people.
Mm-hmm.
They came out and they were like, "Hey, we think that these accounts that were banned for using our API for distilling, which is when they use the results of one AI to train another AI.
Mm-hmm.
So we think these accounts that we banned earlier for distilling were associated with DeepSeek. So they copied our results. They copied our homework. They stole our intellectual
I'm so
property.
sorry that somebody stole something that you stole.
Like, we stole it first, though.
It's
We stole it first.
data scraping. If if emulation is theft, data scraping is theft. I'm sorry.
So, so fun fact. I don't know where this falls legally, but YouTube, for whatever reason, served up a video of somebody doing a thing in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that brought back the nostalgias because I used to play that game a lot when it first came out. So I was like, hey, I could play again. You know what? There's probably a browser-based version of this or whatever. I'm like, I didn't find that, but like it's on Steam for $10. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll throw $10 at it.
Mm-hmm.
I launch it, fails to launch, doesn't even run. Like, okay, if I'll do a little bit of googling, but I'm not going to put too much effort into that. It was $10. I can refund it because I didn't play it for 2 hours. And then I found that there like somebody is like hacked the game and released like Open RCT2. But in order for that to work, it has to like you already have to have it installed before that will work. But that works now. So like I can play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 through the hacked version of it that uses some of the original game's files, but it cannot launch from Steam. So like the legal way I bought it doesn't work. The questionably legal, probably illegal way that I'm doing it works fine, but needed the legal way first.
There's a lot of stuff that does that. Command and Conquer has a lot of similar issues where like it's an old game that barely ran before, so trying to run it on modern systems is a goddamn nightmare.
Oh yeah, and with Roller Coaster Tycoon, the big issue is that like it's not designed to run at 1440p like my monitor's at. So everything is tiny and all the mouse movements are way too fast. And yeah, you can tune it with the like one of the things that the bootleg version did is it gives you options to like make that better. But it's still kind of like I don't know. $10 of nostalgia is worth it, I think. But yeah.
$10 for nostalgia is worth it. It is, depending on the nostalgia.
Yeah, so anyway, the ChatGPT maker told Financial Times that it had seen some evidence that suggests DeepSeek may have tapped into its data through distillation, a technique where outputs from a larger and more advanced AI model are used to train and improve a smaller model. So like they're worried about somebody stealing.
They're worried about
their
somebody
hard
stealing the scraped data that they took without consent.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares?
I care because this comes back to what we were saying earlier about how it's fun to laugh at rich people making rich people mistakes.
Well, yeah, okay. So when I say who the fuck cares, what I'm not meaning is it not fucking funny and good to laugh at.
Yeah, this is whatever. We'll get there. So they're investigating whether DeepSeek used OpenAI's application programming interface to carry out the distillation. Because earlier the two companies had earlier ChatGPT and Microsoft had investigated and blocked accounts using the API over suspected distillation, and they believe that those accounts belong to DeepSeek. The issue was flagged by President Donald Trump's AI czar. Like, that's a thing that shouldn't exist. I mean, if there's going to be an AI czar, like, first off, why are you calling your people czars? That's stupid. Don't do that.
I feel like that's very indicative of the tech bro industry. Not the tech industry. It is the tech bro industry. All of the people that like got their jobs because they invested in Bitcoin early and like now they're millionaires and they're trying to spend their money on things. This feels indicative of that, where they're like, hey, we memed around about this shit on Chanborge ages ago. Why don't we just lean into it? Anyway, my heart goes out to you.
Are you gesturing with that?
No, I'm not, because I'm not fucking stupid.
Um, I've have you seen Doctor Strangelove?
No, I have not.
So Doctor Strangelove, the character, um, um, the actor that played him, I'm blanking on his name at the moment.
Hmm.
Peter Sellers? No, maybe. I don't know. But he there's one of the days when Stanley Kubrick was adjusting one of the lights that was like really really hot. He had like black leather gloves on, and the actor that played Doctor Strangelove was like, "Hey, those leather gloves look like kind of sinister." And was it Peter Sellers? Okay, sure, Peter Sellers. Um, and he was like, "Oh yeah, those gloves that would be good for the character or whatever." So he's like, "I just want one though." So he put one glove on, and then he decided that that hand is going to have a life of its own. So like it's constantly like moving one of his wheelchair wheels. At one point, it tries to like choke him out or whatever. Um, and several times it does the Nazi salute, and he's like pulling it down with his other hand. Um, and like I don't know why that made me think of Elon Musk, because Elon Musk didn't have the awareness to pretend like he didn't do it on purpose.
Nope, he just did it.
But it still made me think of it.
I love how even like Nick Fuentes was celebrating it so hard. Like when the Nazis are celebrating it as a W, I don't give a fuck what your intentions were anymore. I don't.
We'll get to that later. But yeah, my favorite quote here though is the AI czar David Sachs says, "I don't think OpenAI is very happy about this." Like yeah, and I don't think artists are very happy about OpenAI stealing their work.
Yeah, I don't
think
I
authors
don't think
are
I
very
have to
happy about
care.
OpenAI stealing their work. I don't think
more. Thank you for resubscribing.
I don't think YouTubers are very happy about AI stealing their work.
I like how YouTube gave us an option to opt in to a particular way of scraping data internally, but that doesn't stop external sources from scraping our stuff anyways. Like it doesn't.
I mean,
It's consent to one kind of protection, but not all of them.
yeah, okay. So I have mixed feelings about that because I feel like any way that they would implement to stop scraping of videos would also stop my video downloader from working.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, that's a minor inconvenience. You can still do screen grabs and shit. But I don't know.
I can understand that. I can understand that thought process. I can understand that being a problem.
But
at the same time,
this shouldn't. Okay, okay.
We shouldn't have
this
to
should
worry
not be.
about this.
This should not be regulated at the corporation level. This should be regulated at the governmental level. It should be illegal to do scraping like this without an explicit opt-in. And then if it was illegal, then any company that benefits from that, they'll just get slap on the wrists in our current system. But like, hey, this is why late stage capitalism is bad. So, yeah, that is that. OpenAI is mad that people are stealing their shit after they steal everybody else's shit. Well, our government's stupid. Yeah, we talked about this a little while ago about how the old people need to retire and let the young people take over.
It's one of the reasons
and
why.
One of the reasons why is that like you get old people that don't have the slightest idea how to fucking unlock their cell phone are in charge of making regulations about how AI is supposed to work.
You get people who have no idea in any way, shape, or form how technology that they are trying to regulate functions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Percentage findage, so that every company gets hit with the same percentage. Yeah, I like that idea. However, there's too much money in politics for that to ever happen.
Yep. I really wish there wasn't any money in politics. Like,
hey, isn't it nice that the president can have his own meme coin that foreign governments can just anonymously donate millions and millions of dollars to him and there's nothing that anyone can do about it? But yeah, Jon Stewart said that he was elected democratically, so it's not fascism.
Jon Stewart's an idiot then.
Yeah, okay. This is a tangent. We talked about this off air before the stream. I watched the recent Jon Stewart thing about the fascism thing. His whole point, basically it boiled down to two things. He's saying we should not call Trump fascist. One, because he was democratically elected. Hate to break it to you, guess how Hitler rose to power?
Democratically elected.
He was democratically elected. And then two, because his one executive order about ending the 14th Amendment has an injunction against it, he's not a dictator. So he was elected democratically, and he has not got all the powers of a dictator, despite the fact that he wants them and is actively trying to get them. Therefore, we should stop calling him fascist. I'm sorry, but no, that's not how any of this works.
Yeah, fun fact, fascism has nothing to do with dictatorship. I know that sounds counterintuitive to people
was
who...
Jon Stewart being... No, the butts of the joke of that episode were the people that were calling him fascist for doing it. Like, he minimized the firing of the attorneys general, the 17 attorneys general that got fired. He basically said, oh, what? So we're upset because they didn't get 30 days notice? Like, okay, they have their notice now, and they're still going to be fired. And it's like he's doing it through the legal process. It's like, yeah, okay, do you not realize that the attorneys general are the people whose job it is to keep him in check, and he is firing them, and that it, like, getting rid of the checks and balances is part of installing a fascist regime? So, like,
yeah,
like, why are you talking about this as though this is just a bunch of rich people that were mad that they didn't get 30 days notice? Like, there's so much more to it than that. And he's just, but that was his joke, is that, like, oh, we're mad that rich people didn't get enough notice. Like, no, that's not why we're mad.
No, and it's never been the case as to that's being why people are mad. It pisses me off because what people, I'm assuming a lot of people here watch Innuendo Studios. It would make sense if you watch my stuff, Rhino stuff, you probably watch Innuendo Studios. So maybe I'm going to be saying something you've already heard already, but there's a reason why people...
you're in a situation. And...
Yeah. For the sake of argument, let's say. So I say that not just for the funnies. It is funny that many of his videos do begin that way. But I say that because the recent episode that he did was about crossing the Rubicon. And for those who don't know, crossing the Rubicon is an old statement that basically means you've crossed the point of no return. The mechanics for why it is that way don't really matter. It dates back to Rome. So one of the reasons why people like, say, Jon Stewart, this is me not voicing the fear that I voiced to you beforehand about when bigger media starts being afraid to call out people like the president, which actually is a point of fascism, BTW. When people do not want to call a fascist, oftentimes the mechanic that is truly involved in that is wanting to believe that we are not yet past the point of no return. What we do as a self-defense mechanism, and again, I'm aping a lot off of Innuendo Studios video here. Please watch it if you haven't. But what a lot of us do is we will shuffle whatever the point of no return is further down the line. We'll move the goalpost on what we consider the point of no return, because if we don't do that, we hit the point where we have to take action. We hit the point where we have to tell ourselves we have to take action. This is a disagreement I had with another content creator about the use of violence as an example. And I understand that point because none of us wants to be at the point where we need to do something. All of us want to be at the point where all we have to do is what we've been doing, which is complaining on the internet. That's the comfortable thing to do. That's the thing that we've taught ourselves to do. And some of us have even convinced ourselves that that's a form of activism. If we call Trump a fascist, if we call a spade, then we have to admit that we have crossed the point of no return. And if we've crossed the point of no return, there's a whole bunch of dominoes that fall after that point. It's a house of cards that nobody wants to be sitting under. And if you admit, all it takes for the house of cards to collapse is admitting that it is in collapse. Once you admit that we have a fascist in government and he hits all of the points one requires to be a fascist.
Literally just announced the opening of concentration camps.
Yes. Once you realize that, once you get to that point, the scary part is asking yourself, well, what do I do now? And then you'll find, and this is where it compounds. This is where I branch away from Innuendo Studios thing, because this is where I may actually sound a little ableist when I say this, so I will give y'all a fair warning. This is where some people start looking at all of the different reasons that they cannot go out and do something, like protest, like talk to their state reps, like doing the business of politics. They'll find every reason that they can't do it, and then they'll hide behind those reasons instead of trying to innovate ways that they can do something. I saw this a lot in my comment section when I said that I'm coming back to talking about politics in full force, and it's everybody's job now to go out and start doing something about what's happening right now. Go out and get involved in your local parties. Go out and start ousting your representatives. Go find the leadership that is failing in your areas and start literally organizing against that leadership. Yeah. A few people in my comment section mentioned that it felt so bad when somebody tells them to do that because they're disabled and they can't. If you can't go out and do something, you have a phone. You obviously do, because you watch the video. You have a phone or a computer. You can you can use ResistBot. ResistBot will connect you to state reps, and you can talk to them that way. You have the ability to spread awareness, to start a blog, to do any number of things. Just because you can't go out and do the thing I suggested doesn't mean there's not a billion things that you can do. And the only limiter there is how creative you're willing to be about your activism.
And then for those who are able,
stop hiding behind it.
For those who are able, run for office like Progress Only did. Progress Only won. And Progress Only has already been doing good shit.
Like, I don't want to sound ableist when I say that there are people who will actually hide behind their disabilities to say that they cannot do something. But learned helplessness is a fucking thing. It is a real thing.
The same skill set that allowed you to type the comment to say that you can't do anything is what would be required to at least send an email to your rep.
Yes.
So it might not be the thing of like going out to the office to confront them face to face, but it is a thing, and it helps. Also, I do have to... Gwenham82, thank you for subscribing for 5 months with your little wave. And also, running NDP. Dan Bolio, that's so NDP, I take it you're in Canada then? Good on you. Good luck. Hope you do decide to do that. And also, again, to reference a conversation we had off air about how we're talking about these super duper serious matters. Well, I've got like a BB-8 wearing a bow tie behind me and a Ducky bucket hat and a Gay Unicorn Gary bucket hat. If we're too serious about everything, like there has to be some lightness and fun. Yeah, not just a bow tie, a tie bow. It's the bow tie. It's the TIE Fighter bow tie. You have to also like you can't be on 100% of the time with politics. We both kind of got burned out from that. And that's why we're laughing at people's fucking Cybertrucks getting taken out by an e-scooter. So like, yeah, there does have to be an element of fun or whatever. And like, if that means I end up talking seriously while wearing a stupid hat, then I'm going to talk seriously while wearing a stupid hat. And that's okay.
Yeah. Like if the stuff that makes us angry, legitimately angry, needs some levity injected into it so that we can stomach it, that's going to be what we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to be how we operate.
Yeah. And speaking of there needing to be activism right now, there's an Iowa bill that would require "In God We Trust" display 2 minutes of 2 minutes of silence in public schools. Not the first time something like this has happened, but this time, the way the judicial branch is arranged, it has a much better chance of actually sticking around. Although, need to get some Chaz Stevens action in there, because one of the questions is how are schools going to pay for it? Like, Chaz will donate some signs.
I am very tired that we are back at the bare knuckle brawling with creationism shit again on the legal level.
Laughing is what separates us from the Vulcans and the Romulans.
Yeah.
Indeed it is. And our blood is red. Yeah. So basically, Iowa public schools are being required to display "In God We Trust" at the main entry of school buildings under a bill advanced from the Iowa House. The bill would require public schools and charter schools to display the national motto and Iowa state motto, which ironically doesn't really get along well with the national motto because it is "Our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain." So, like, the right to separation of church and state, that's not maintained when you have "In God We Trust" written above that. And then it also would require the observation of 2 minutes of silence each day preceding the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance, which just sounds like a waste of fucking time.
It does. It. Granted, though, I will say this: the moment of silence is one of the things that was proposed several times by atheist organizations as, like, if you want to have quote prayer in schools, this is an appropriate way to do it.
I know, and I actually have mixed feelings about the moment of silence. So I actually kind of like the idea. It probably shouldn't be at the beginning of the day, but like at some point in the day, and I would even go past 2 minutes. I'd say 15 minutes. There's 15 minutes of everybody has to be silent. Now, I could actually get behind that because, like, yeah, sure, the kids who want to use that time to pray, sure, they can pray. Kids who want to meditate, they can do that without being made fun of by the Christian kids who are like meditations of Satan. It's like hippie woo nonsense. We don't do that in our Christian thing or whatever. No, they're just sitting there with their eyes closed. They're meditating. But, for all they know, they're praying because it's just 15 minutes of silence. Everybody has to do it. So I actually kind of like that and would probably take it further. However, logistically speaking, we're talking about school children, kindergarten to high school. 2 minutes of silence is going to be challenging. 15 ain't happening. Bring back nap time.
Yes, bring back nap time.
Yep. Also make the school day start later, because that's objectively better for everybody. Democrats on the committee raised questions about the cost to schools of making the designs or displaying the national and state mottos. They also questioned why private schools, including those with students who receive taxpayer-funded education savings accounts, aren't included in the bill's requirements. So, yeah, that is an interesting omission, especially because, like, most private schools are probably Christian. But they say if this is so important, if this is something that our students, our kids need to see, then it should be something that is in front of every student. So, like, yeah, I don't understand why that omission was there. Like, usually this is something that they'll start with the charter schools and private schools and try and make it get closer and closer to the public schools, but they kind of went backwards this time.
The idea of private schooling confuses me more and more the further I get away from my time in PCA, because it feels like the only reason you do private school is because you don't believe that the schools in the area are teaching the truth good enough that the kids are being taught. And so you're willing to pay a premium for the real truth to be taught to your kids. Maybe that's me coming off the back end of PCA, but that's where my brain goes where that's concerned.
Yeah, no, I have a similar feeling about it. Having gone to a private school myself, that's not the reason I was sent there. I was actually sent there because the kids that were going to end up going to high school with me were mostly bullies, and so I was having big issues with that. And so the private school was kind of a let's get him away from that situation. But the only private school in the area was a Christian school. Looking back, I kind of wish that I had gone to the public school because, like, my brother and sister both went there. They had a shop class. I would have loved to have had a shop class where you actually learn how to build shit and use power tools. Like, I've been like DIYing it in the years since, but like, I feel like I would have enjoyed that. But we didn't have that at the Christian school I went to, and there's other stuff like that, but Yeah. But anyway, in defense of this legislation, one of the people that was behind the bill said, I think we want to make the public school as attractive as possible for families who might be exploring their choices. It's like, and you don't do that by proclaiming your allegiance to one specific god that the people exploring their choices might not also have allegiance to.
Yeah, you're
So,
just assuming that everybody who's exploring their choices is Christian.
Yeah, that doesn't make it attractive to the atheist parents. That doesn't make it attractive to the Muslim parents, because they know that when you say "in God we trust," that doesn't mean their God. That doesn't make it attractive to the Hindu student who has multiple gods. Like, no, that's not about making it attractive to more families. That's about making it exclusive to Christian families.
Which is very mechanically different.
Mm-hmm. So one of the freshmen who attends public schools in the area says they believe requiring the national motto in schools promotes Christianity and amounts to forced patriotism. He said, I'm a proud public school student, and I do not trust in God, and that's okay. In fact, the Constitution protects my right to not trust in God. Displaying "in God we trust" in public school buildings is a blatant promotion of religiosity and indoctrination of children. Agree, 100%. Congrats on this kid who is a freshman. What grade is freshman?
Freshman is 9th grade.
Okay. That's what I thought. But then there's also weird things like junior isn't one of the like junior is like 11 or something.
Yeah, junior is grade 11.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Yeah, sophomore. I don't know. That's not, we don't call them that in Canada. We just call them 9, 10, 11, 12. Fennec, are you finger snapping to do woke clapping? Are you woke clapping for this student? If you are, I appreciate that.
What is woke clapping?
Just when you do, it's like finger snaps, like the hippies do it with their little. In some situations, that is actually better, because like if you're in a room full of people with PTSD, that loud noises are going to scare them. Like, yeah, finger snaps instead of claps. That's fine. I get it. But people do make fun of that.
And cheering makes me want to cry sometimes. Not like actually cry, but like my ears suddenly go, "Huh, that's all pain. Stop."
Yeah, especially if it's directed at me. Like, no, fuck off. Don't do that. I don't need that. Okay. Then Representative Helena Hayes disagreed with the criticism, because, when a student that would be directly affected by this says their feelings about it, clearly a politician knows better. But to have it displayed on your property in a state school that is funded by the state of Iowa is not really forced patriotism, she said. I think it's just really basic forced patriotism. I think the Pledge of Allegiance is forced patriotism.
It is.
It's weird to have a bunch of children pledge allegiance to a piece of cloth at the front of the classroom every day.
I think that a country should earn the respect from the kids, not the kids should. This is going to sound so fucking atheist of me. I am so sorry, but I feel as though if a country is so great, its greatness should be self-evident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you shouldn't need to indoctrinate people into it by having them chant about how great great their flag is every day. Then when questioning the moment of silence, people are like, is that intended to be a prayer? Is that intended to just put your heads down and take a nap? Is that what is silent time? And it's like, I'm actually okay with the moment of silence. It's weird that it's before the Pledge of Allegiance, but like I said, I think the Pledge of Allegiance is weird. Fun fact, originally, when the Pledge of Allegiance first became a thing that school children did, they were supposed to, instead of just having their hand over their heart, they were supposed to do it while doing the Bellamy salute. Guess what the Bellamy salute is?
My
heart goes out to you if you don't know.
Oh my God.
Just do a Google search for kids doing the Bellamy salute, and you'll find that they were doing it in schools in the 1940s.
Yeah, when the United States had a brown shirts movement.
Yeah, when they should have known better. And like at that point, it's like, yeah, no, I don't care that it was a Bellamy thing and not a Hitler thing, but it's a Hitler thing now. He kind of ruined that. Also, Bellamy, if you look up the guy Bellamy that the Bellamy salute is named after, he probably would have agreed with Hitler. So,
I mean, that's why the character Bellamy in One Piece is kind of a piece of shit.
okay, yep, there you go.
Like,
so
he's he's definitely on board with the fascism as long as it's benefits him.
sponsored by Henry Ford. Yeah, so this is really weird for me because I'm finding myself agreeing with people like Ryan Ben, the lobbyist for the conservative Christian group The Family Leader, who said the silent time would be valuable to calm students and give them an opportunity for prayer. As a parent in a household with 5 kids, I appreciate how I appreciate where that thought would come from. I would love for there to just be 2 minutes of silence in the morning when we're trying to get ready. Let's just sit down and shut up for 2 goddamn minutes. That would be beautiful. I would love it. I totally get it. But at the same time, like, they're clearly just being like, yeah, no, this is supposed to be for prayer, but like, we can't make it for prayer, so it's just a moment of silence.
We gave in to the woke sky.
But then when you get to talking to people that like actually deal with children, they say things like, it's hard enough to engage sleepy high school students when they arrive at school early in the morning. It's like, it's hard enough to engage them without like putting them to sleep first. And
Alpha
then
Mario says Cirrus doesn't know his character change in Dressrosa. Well, thanks for spoiling that Bellamy has a character change in Dressrosa. I'm glad to know he changes. Didn't want to know that he changed, but
But Melissa Peterson, someone who actually works with kids and works for the teachers union, says keeping young children silent for 2 minutes is tougher than it sounds. The association opposes the bill. It's like,
what?
Yeah. Speaking as someone who wants the kids to be quiet for 2 minutes, yeah, that ain't happening. It says, I will say that my member's initial reaction was, we're going to keep them completely silent for 2 minutes? How are we going to do that? She said. Without stimulation, that can be really challenging, even above the kindergarten level. Yeah. Wait, you guys don't start school in September? That's when school starts.
I believe it was always September for me.
Yeah, Duct Tape Jake says, I always found the Harry Potter books weird when he started school in September, but apparently that's how Northern Hemisphere does things. Yeah, we start school I think it's the first Monday after Labor Day. And I think there is some weird thing that goes on when Labor Day is a Monday.
Altfact says it's not true. That character sucks forever. I hate Bellamy. Okay, well, now that I'm getting information from both sides, I guess I'm unspoilered.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Depends on the district between early August and mid-September. Yeah, so I'm also a proponent of so from this, like, I think this whole like sleepy teenagers early in the morning, maybe we should start school later so that they're not as sleepy, because sleeping is really important for kids' brains. And there are countries that have done that and they have found it helps a lot. So that's one of the things and with regarding school start times, like when school starts, I am in favor of ditching our current model that is just based around assuming that all the kids have to help out on the farm during the summertime, because most kids don't have to help out on the farm during the summertime anymore. And going to a system where they're in school all year round and then taking the days that they're off in the summer and distributing them throughout the year so that it's a bunch. Like, it's a lot more of shorter breaks than one really long break, because that is also better for the kids as well, because they don't forget all the stuff that they learned over the summer and then have to spend the first month of school relearning that stuff.
On the one hand, I understand that your point is likely data-driven and my point's going to be entirely feels-based. Fuck you, summer vacation's great.
Yeah, the kid in me agrees. The adult in me works from home and has to get my fucking script done.
So this is a ploy to get rid of the children.
So my side has the data behind it. However, my opinion of it is still feels driven.
Jesus Christ.
Summertime is very hard for me. I do not like I stick to a mostly Monday to Friday 9 to 5 kind of schedule most of the time, but in the summer, like I have to work a lot of evenings because the kids aren't at school, and 5 kids is a lot for one person to deal with. And oh my god, this summer my partner is going to be working as well, and I'm going to be the at-home person the entire time. Fuck, we are screwed. Let's change this before this summer, okay? Let's get them in school this summer.
That's where you sit down and have the fun conversation of, so, kids, do you like eating food? I like eating food too.
How long is summer? Yeah, no, we've had that conversation a lot. That doesn't stick. How long is summer break? The last day of school is usually around the 20th of June. It's like the second last week of June, and they go back to school. It's usually like about a week into September. So they get 2 full months off and a couple weeks, depending on how the days turn out.
There's 104 days of summer vacation.
Something like that.
I'll start singing the fucking Phineas and Ferb theme song.
Oh, is that the...
That's the Phineas and Ferb theme song.
I recognized it, but I haven't watched a lot of Send Them to Summer Camps. Do you know how fucking expensive that is?
I will say...
One kid, 1 week at summer camp, if it's not an overnight camp, if it's just a day camp, it's like $500 per week. I have 5 kids.
I will say summer camp was one of the most memorable things for me as a kid.
We always do a couple weeks of it, but like we cannot do the whole summer at summer camp. And also that adds a whole nother dynamic to it. Like keep the eldest with you. Actually, summer camp gets a little bit cheaper as they get older because there's one camp where I think 2 out of 3 of mine are actually old enough and have done their training so that they can volunteer. And the great thing about that is that they're now gone to camp for the week, but I don't have to pay for it because they're working. But yeah, so it is getting easier as they're getting older. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, no, that's another aspect of it. Is like that camp in particular, that's like the best camp in the region. It's also a 40-minute drive away. So to drop them off, come back home and work, and then go pick them up and come back home and work, that's an extra 3 hours a day that I'm in the car.
Yeah.
Which
transit time sucks.
That takes a lot of time out of my workday. So like, which do I lose more time to? Driving them to camp or having to pop my head out occasionally and be like, hey, be nice to each other?
Yeah, that's one of the issues that I ran into when I had a roommate that I had to drive to work, and it didn't occur to me how disruptive that was to my day until I was doing it every day, and I was like, the conversation was had of like, well, why don't you just stream while I'm at work? I'm like, I would if my sleep schedule allowed that. Blackwater, thank you for the follow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, whatever. That's a whole other can of worms. I will cross that bridge when I come to it. Okay. Next up, we got to talk about Musk.
Yay, he smells.
Yep. He went to the modern iteration of the German Nazi party in Germany, known as the AfD, and he gave
ADF.
them ADF. Oh,
wait,
it says AfD
AFD?
in Politico. Oh, and I accidentally highlighted that. Well, in English, it's alternative for Germany.
It is AfD. Okay.
AfD.
I've been calling it ADF for years.
This one was sent to me by Alex Duet. So thank you, Alex.
Progress only.
That's the one. Yeah. It's public record. Okay. Unhighlight that. There we go. So Musk tells Germans to get over their past guilt in speech to far-right AfD rally. So Musk made a virtual appearance at a rally for the far-right Alternative for Germany party on Saturday, reiterating his support ahead of the country's February 23rd election and telling the crowd that it's time to move on from past guilt. Side note, it was just announced...
That's Holocaust denial.
It is.
That's Holocaust denial language.
Side note, it was just announced today that Ontario is going to have a provincial election next month. I love our short election cycles. I already know who I'm voting for. I don't know their name, but I know what party I'm voting for. But, yeah, we don't have to hear about it for years and years. But, yeah, no, move on from past guilt. It's like, I get that you don't need to feel personally guilty for something that your ancestors did. But, like, that doesn't mean you just get to be like, wasn't me, so it's okay. Like, there is a way to, show an appropriate amount of contrition.
Yeah, you don't have to go full, like, meme head-on into the white guilt. But you can definitely recognize, like, hey, I probably had a better upbringing. I probably had more opportunities than you did. That's not good nor bad. That just is a statistically likely thing.
Yeah. So he called to preserve German culture and protect the German people. So nationalist white supremacy language. It's he does. Can you even call it a dog whistle when they come out and say it?
It stopped being a dog whistle when the euphemism died.
Yeah, so he says children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, let alone their great-grandparents. World War II was early enough that it's still grandparents, and in some cases, parents. So, like, yeah, saying great-grandparents, yeah, in some cases that is. It's old enough that, yeah, there are great-grandparents, but it's also recent enough that some of the people that were perpetrating that might still be alive.
Jessica says Elon's mom's parents were Canadian Nazis, so the apple falls directly down.
Yeah.
And
But here we get the great replacement theory, not even dog whistle, just straight out foghorn. Says, it's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. That's just straight up the great replacement.
How does it dilute everything? How is recognizing that we've got different people here a dilution of anything? Why can we not just celebrate each other's cultures?
It dilutes it if you mix the cultures and intermarry.
Who cares?
And have babies that aren't
culture
pure white.
Isn't a good or bad thing. There's nothing saying culture should or should not be maintained.
But if you're
in
a
its
racist,
current form. Great culture isn't even tied to fucking race. I
didn't say
argument.
That it was. I said if you are racist, this sounds like something that can potentially validate your racistness.
I've had this argument years ago where somebody was talking about interracial mixing in like Japan, and they were like, if you brought a bunch of Americans into Japan, wouldn't that culture change after a while? I'm like, I mean, yes, but who the fuck cares?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it matter?
Yeah, is there some objective best culture that we all need to strive to?
The white one.
No, the white one. Well, okay, you say the white one. There are many white ones.
Nope, the white one.
That's actually another aspect of racism that kind of drives me nuts, is that like they treat all white cultures as though they are the same.
Nope, the white one.
Like it's all just reductionist. It's black and white, so to speak. It's like,
yep.
All of Africa has one culture, all of Europe has one culture.
It was weird.
Never mind the fact that there are people that live in Europe that would have been called black 100 years ago.
When Resident Evil 5 was coming out and people were worried that it was going to look racist to have a white guy running around shooting a bunch of black people in Africa. And then Capcom made the decision to both give him a partner from the region canonically for that area, and also...
So they literally used the I have a black girlfriend, I can't be racist.
Well, no, like, partner is in, like, the person he was running everything with, not...
Okay. I have a black friend.
No, sorry. The Redfield lineage has to continue through Claire's line. That's a dumb fucking Resident Evil meme. But Capcom also added in a bunch of white villagers to the areas that you were going through, and people freaked out about it. They were like, but it's not realistic now that there are white people here. I'm like, wait, but are you saying there aren't white people in Africa? Because there fucking are.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna this might be a hot take. You know how like the racists keep getting mad at like, oh, they made the Little Mermaid black. well, historically, they would have been from Scandinavian countries.
Historically, the mermaids.
It's a fucking mermaid. Who fucking cares? Like, you can have a black mermaid. It's fine. However, the movie Cats, Macavity, played by was it Idris Elba that played Macavity?
I don't know.
I haven't actually seen the movie Cats. I've seen the stage production. So I'm not entirely sure. I know Idris Elba was in it. Cats. Somebody has probably already typed the answer in the chat.
Naki Bree says, why don't the cats from Cats have buttholes?
Yes, it was Idris Elba played Macavity. So the color of the cat, they made it Idris Elba skin color. And I actually do take issue with that, but not because it matters, but because one of the lines, the thing about Cats is all of the songs are just, this is a cat, this is its name, and this is its description, and that's the song. And one of the lines in the song for Macavity is, Macavity's a ginger cat. And they made the ginger cat black. So now, I don't have an issue with the making the ginger cat black for the Silly Cats movie. That sucked anyways. But could you at least have changed the lyric in the song so that you're not saying, hey, this cat that is very clearly not a ginger cat is a ginger cat? So like that is the one time I will be like, yeah, no, the skin color did matter in that case. They could have fixed it very easily by just changing one line of the musical. But instead, we're like, no, that's Idris Elba colored. Not ginger. Ginger is very different.
But Idris Elba's red. Because he plays Knuckles in the Sonic movies.
They changed the skin color for that one. No, no, because like I get it. Like I get that there could have been issues with like taking a black man, casting him in this thing, and then like making him a different color. That could have been a problematic issue, but you can avoid all that just by changing one line of one fucking song. Like, Drama10 says, hey, only a ginger can call another ginger. So I'm what's called a closet ginger. My beard is ginger. It's kind of a brownish red. The light has to catch it right. It's almost an auburn. But we're called closet gingers because if I wanted to hide the fact that I'm a ginger, I can by shaving it off. So I can be a ginger in the closet.
I've also never heard that a ginger can't call, or is the only person who can call another ginger a ginger. Last I checked, people without souls don't get to make the rules.
Have you seen the Julian Smith video, Ginger Snap?
No, I haven't.
It's stupid. As all Julian Smith videos are, but it's like a music video. It's a music video where like people are making fun of this ginger guy for being a ginger. And then it's a song where they're like, oh my, don't do that. You're gonna make this ginger snap. And he like starts shooting them with finger lasers that actually shoot finger lasers. And it's just stupid, but it's funny.
Naki Bree says, can blue players call people gingers? Naki Bree, let me make this abundantly clear. The only word a blue player is allowed to say, well, there's two they're allowed to say. One is no, because that's all that color fucking does. And the other thing they're allowed to say is, stop hitting me, so I can say no.
Okay. Anyway, then we see a picture of
hey, look,
Elon
it's that
Musk.
salute that's banned in a bunch of countries now.
He's sending his heart out to everybody, which the natural way to do that is with the palms up and not biting your bottom lip, scowling.
God, he looks like he's so angry.
Oh my God, my hats are having sex. And it's the genital hat too. So like, wizard hat? Is this a wizard hat? No, it's a flower hat. Yeah.
Jessa says the blue player is also allowed to say, put it back in your hand.
Sure, why not? Well, goodbye, our German viewers. Yeah, because that's banned in Germany. That thing that he did. What is the face that Elon is making? The face is, I'm a Nazi. That's the face. The words we heard from the main actors of the AfD rally about Great Germany and the need to forget German guilt for Nazi crimes sounded all too familiar and ominous, especially only hours before the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. That was, according to the unfortunately named Donald Tusk. It's like, it really sucks that his name is a portmanteau of Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But he's the Prime Minister of Poland. And it's a little bit alarming that Nazi rhetoric is being uttered by one of the most powerful people on the planet, especially like right before the celebration, or not really celebration, but like remembrance of the liberation of Auschwitz.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsey Graham spoke out against it. I mean, he was just upset that it happened close to the liberation of Auschwitz anniversary, rather than the content of the words.
That it was a Nazi thing.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, if we're going to do Nazi things, we should maybe not do it that close to a day of remembrance for when the Nazis did Nazi things, and we remember
maybe
how
we
bad
should just
that
not
was.
do Nazi things.
Yeah,
Maybe we should
that
just
would be ideal.
not do those things.
Musk's initial endorsement of the AfD last month drew strong rebukes, including from German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who said the tech billionaire's support of the far right endangers European democracy. Yeah, that it does.
Especially because it's emboldening other billionaires now to start meddling with elections.
Yeah. Yeah, his Meta is no longer fact-checking things. They've decided to go with the community notes thing.
Meta also put up a list of slurs against trans people that are now
allowed.
okay.
Yep. It's now part of the terms of service that you're allowed to use certain slurs against trans people. Yep.
Like I'm saying, I'm sorry. At what point do we just start considering arson? At what point do we? At what point have we crossed that Rubicon?
I don't know.
At what point do we accept the fact that we've gone too fucking far? I'm sorry. Like, at what point do we accept that enough fucking dominoes have fallen that maybe, just maybe, there are certain people who are in power that ought to lose that power, and there is no mechanism in place to make them lose that power because the way they have that power is money. And what's the famous quote? When you remove all of the non-violent options, you only leave the violent ones on the table.
So I'm just going to say, yes, Hitler was democratically elected, but the Nazis didn't lose power democratically. Guess what that took?
It took something we can said. I'm not going to respond to that, Jet. Nope. I'm not.
Yeah. So Musk, a close advisor to the president, made waves on Monday during Trump's inauguration celebrations after making a stiff-armed salute that critics were quick to liken to the Nazi Sieg Heil because it was one.
He made a Nazi salute. Just don't be a fucking coward. He did a Nazi salute.
I remember a comic of Superman punching Nazis. Yeah, there's been the picture of Harrison Ford punching the Nazi on the tank has been circulating around social media. Then Musk brushed off the comparisons, first saying radical leftists are really upset that they had to take time out of their busy day praising Hamas to call me a Nazi. I mean, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, goose steps like a duck, licks boots like a duck.
Mm-hmm.
And then he proceeded to post a series of Nazi-themed puns. So if your response to people accusing you of doing a Nazi salute when you are on video doing a Nazi salute is not to say, oh no, that was just like, all right, people have been defending this like, oh, he's autistic, so it's just like an awkward, like, it was like,
I don't care that he's fucking autistic. It's ableist to let him hide behind it.
I have some experience with autistic children. None of them have ever accidentally done a Nazi salute, even before they knew what it was. And I know lots of other autistic people and people who know other autistic people who say like none of the autistic people in their lives have ever accidentally done a Nazi salute.
It's weird. It's so easy to be autistic and not a bigot. Strange.
Yeah. But also like even if you like, let's hypothetically grant that for a moment and say that you're like, yeah, it was just an awkward whoopsie doodle. If your response to being called out for the awkward whoopsie doodle is to not deny it and then to make jokes about Nazis, like bad dad joke puns about Nazis, then maybe you're a Nazi. At least a Nazi sympathizer. Maybe he's not a Nazi himself, but he is at least a Nazi sympathizer.
No, he's a Nazi. I'm no longer playing coy with this shit. Trump is a fascist. Elon Musk is a Nazi. The things that they do are in line with those things.
Yeah. And the chancellor of the AfD responded to people calling them Nazis and calling Elon Musk a Nazi or whatever. He says he responded by saying the Nazi leader, Hitler, was a communist socialist guy, and the AfD is exactly the opposite. Hey,
how is he communist?
Oh, dude, who? You know what party rose to power using this exact argument to say, like, oh, the other shit, like, no, that's like, no, clearly we're not that because we use a different word than them.
Like, for one, they called themselves the National Socialist Party because they were an organization of German workers. Socialist is not communist.
Sirs. They explicitly, in their documents about how the party was to be organized and shit, they explicitly said that they were using the word socialist the same way modern libertarians use the word liberal, the classical liberal thing. They're like, socialist used to mean X, and now the Marxists have taken it over and made it mean Y. So we are going to call ourselves socialists to make it mean X again, with X being all the right-wing shit that the people that are saying, oh, the Nazis couldn't be right-wing because they're socialist.
Which is why the actual leftists that were in the party all got killed during the Night of Long Knives. It was a way to purge all the people who didn't necessarily agree with that.
All the people that fell for the idea that they were left-wing socialists. Like, no, they were literally using the word socialist as a bait and switch. And and this was explicit in their documents. So, like, yeah, if you are arguing that, like, you're not a Nazi because the Nazis were socialists, you're literally using Nazi tactics to say that.
I've noticed that when you call somebody a Nazi online, which this used to happen more often than now, but there was this one specific dipshit I remember because they were very adamant about defending rationality rules during the whole debacle with that, which, again, I did too because I had an opinion on that. But anyway, not the point here. The point here is there was a common defense of, I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a member of the National Socialist Party. What are you talking about? Like, no, we all understand the term Nazi to be the same as the term fascist right now. It is a group of ideologies that if you happen to have more than not of them, then you can be called the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done accepting you leftists call everybody you don't like a Nazi. There's a reason leftists don't like fucking Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, there's a reason that we dislike those people. Yeah, and apologies for fucking voicing it.
Yeah, Peter Sullivan says they were socialists the same way the DPRK is democratic. Yep, exactly.
And anyway, on that note, I think it's also time we start engaging in the rhetorical device called "shut the fuck up, that's not what you mean." When somebody does the whole, like, actually they called themselves socialists, blah, 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 instead of just doing the Democratic Republican or Republic thing, instead of giving them just facts, because idiots don't respond to facts. They don't. They don't. They respond to feelings. They've always responded to feelings. Start saying, what the fuck do you actually mean? Stop hiding behind it. Stop being a coward. Tell me what you actually mean right now. Are you saying that because you think that argument has weight? Or are you saying that as a smokescreen for something else? Or do you just not fucking know and you're regurgitating it? Which one is it? And if you don't know, then go home and have a fucking think about it.
Yeah. Plow King asks, what's so hard about Nazis are bad? Nothing for me.
There's nothing hard about Nazis are bad. In fact, saying Nazis are bad makes me hard.
Oh, I saw a depressing post on Blue Sky today that was like someone was like, I never thought that I would live in a time where like half of the people that I know and am related to are now very obviously people that I would not tell where Anne Frank was hiding.
Oh, well. Yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
Pernada, thank you for becoming a member for 5 months or being a member for 5 months. Says it's legal to call Weidel. Is it Weidel because it's German? Call Weidel a Nazi by satirically. I don't know what that means. I don't get the reference.
I mean, if I were taking it on full face value, it's the idea that you can hide behind satire to not get like hit with defamation.
Okay, well, who's Weidel?
I don't know. Again,
Okay.
I'm taking it purely on face value with no information.
I mean, I feel like there's enough public record shit to back up just calling him a Nazi. Musk,
No,
at
there
least.
is. There is. I've so
Also, we're small potatoes. If Musk sues us, I'll consider that a badge of honor.
if Musk tries suing, then you take that and you write it into infamy. That's what you do. The correct thing to do is to splay your arms out,
Mm-hmm.
accept that you've been given a gold badge to be a loud as fuck martyr,
Mm-hmm.
and be a loud as fuck martyr. That's what you do with that.
Yep. 100%.
That's
That's the best thing that could happen for this show is if Elon Musk sees this and sues us.
Like, I will be a very, very full-on content-brained idiot right now. When something like that happens, you take it and write it into the sunset.
Yeah. Okay. So we've done some depressing stuff tonight. Gonna end on a lighter note. Do you know what a sunfish looks like?
Not offhand, no.
That's a sunfish. Just a delightfully derpy, giant, funny-looking fish that
Why
looks
does
like
he look like he wants to die?
because he saw that. Yeah, no, that's a sunfish. It's just a delightfully derpy thing. So there's a sunfish at a zoo in Japan, not a zoo, an aquarium in Japan, that when they closed down for renovations, he got sick. And I'm going to scroll past the headline because it spoils the story. But a solitary sunfish in an aquarium in southwestern Japan lost its appetite, began banging into the side of the fish tank, and appeared unwell days after the facility closed last month for renovations. As a last-ditch measure to save the popular fish, its keepers hung their uniforms and set up human cutouts outside the tank. The next morning, the sunfish ate for the first time in about a week and has been steadily recovering.
Okay.
So, the sunfish got sad that people weren't coming to visit him anymore. And so he got depressed and stopped eating. And then they like made him have more friends, and that made him better. And
that's adorable.
That's the tank setup they got. They're like hanging their uniforms. They have like faces printed on paper, or whatever, in front. The staff go to visit him a lot more often now and like wave at him and stuff like that. So it's like it's just a big derpy old fish who just wants some company, and he just likes it when people are there visiting him. And it's just super wholesome, and I love it, and it's great. But yeah, so it was kind of a last-ditch effort. They didn't really think that was going to work, but then it did. So
as long as the fish is happy now.
The fish is happy now. He's eating his jellyfish.
He's eating good.
Then Pernada says, Weidel from AFD, she was called a Nazi bitch on TV and lost a lawsuit because it's satire. Oh. Okay. So it's legal to call her a Nazi bitch, apparently.
Cool.
Is the reference. Glad I know the reference. And I'm glad that the sunfish is doing better. Okay. That's it for the news. Let's do some tweets. Tweets. Babylon B says, fattest, sickest country on earth concerned new health secretary might do something different. So yeah, no, it's the concern is not that just that he's doing something different. It's that the different things he is doing are things that we know are going to make things worse. Also, I find it weird that the Babylon Bee, who fully support Trump and right-wing politics, which you always hear about them talking about how America is the greatest country on earth, but then they say that they're the fattest and sickest country on earth. I thought you were the greatest country on earth. Why would I want to live in the fattest and sickest country on earth?
It's 90s fat. Don't you understand? It's cool.
That is not what they want. I cut out the picture of this one because there was a large person in that picture that I highly suspect did not give their consent to be included in a Babylon Bee headline. So I did them the service of cutting it out because they're clearly poking fun at just people that are large. And yeah, there is an issue with nutrition. Like, and again, this comes down to a systemic issue where it is much cheaper to eat unhealthily than it is to eat healthy. It is much easier to eat unhealthily than it is to eat healthily. And the regulations are such that like there are like the corn lobby is so powerful that they get corn syrup put in everything and things that don't need it. So like, yeah, there are systemic reasons why obesity is a problem in not just the States, but North America. Canada to a lesser degree. Like we don't have quite as much corn syrup floating around in our food as you guys do. But yeah, they are systemic issues that are not going to be solved with anything that Robert F. Kennedy is proposing. He is proposing things that are going to like basically release the hounds. Like there's not going to be regulation anymore because they're gutting the FDA and not let them do what they need to do or whatever. So, yeah.
The FDA has a lot of problems. It does.
Fennec points out there's so many systemic issues as well as a lack of holistic approach in medicine. I agree to an extent. Now the lack of a holistic approach in medicine, I don't have direct experience with the American medical system, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm just going by various stories and perspectives that I've heard from other people. But essentially, it's a two-tiered system where if you're poor and you can just go to the hospital that your insurance pays for, you're going to be seen by someone who's overworked and just wants to get you in and out, so they don't have time to go into your family history and diet and shit like that or whatever. But like, that is something that doctors are supposed to take into account. Whether or not they do is another thing. Like, I went to the doctor last week, and it was because y'all yelled at me about my black toe. And she looked at it and was like, yeah, no, it's just a really bad bruise. It's fine. You're fine. But it was like, well, I'm here. Let's talk about these 3 or 4 other things that we have. And one of the things was last time I got blood work done, my triglyceride levels were a little bit high. And one of the medications that I might be going on soon, one of the side effects for that is elevated triglyceride levels. And so we talked about diet. We talked about my family has a history of diabetes in it. So like we talked about diet for that as well. Are there things that I can do to prevent getting type 2 diabetes? A lot of the research says no, not really. But like it can be put off through diet and stuff like that. But yeah, no, but like I had a 15-20 minute conversation with my doctor that ran the gamut from like, here's some medication, like pills that I can take to solve things that way. Here's dietary changes we can refer you to a dietitian. The whole person in general. Yeah, Body Keeps the Score. I haven't read The Body Keeps the Score. My partner has. It's probably... Yes, it is right there. It's the orange book right there. I also have the audiobook. You have the audiobook? I think we've listened to some of the audiobook together. That might have been a different one. Yeah. No, so Heidi has probably heard about this book. Heidi has read that book. Yeah, psychological impacts on physical health. That's something we talked about as well, because like I have ADHD. I have 5 children who run the gamut from ADHD and autism to undiagnosed, but definitely something going on, to other things that he would not want me to share, so I'm not going to. And this was something that we took into account. Is like, you have a high stress environment at home, so that is something that is going to be affecting these things. And so like, yeah, no, this, like, I don't know. That's one of the things, like, that is something that, like, that needs to happen for everybody, but it can't in the system that exists. And even in our system, like, because I called, like, it was primarily for the toe, but because I was also like, and there's like 3 or 4 other things that I want to discuss while I'm there, they were like, okay, we don't have time for a multiple things appointment right now. If you just want to do the toe, we can see you tomorrow. But if you want to do all this other stuff, then you're going to have to wait like 2 weeks, which 2 weeks is not that long. But like, yeah. Thanks for the hat. Thanks for the hydrate. My point is, your healthcare system sucks and ours is good. I don't know. That's where I'm going with this.
I mean, I agree.
But a lot of the times it's not because the doctors don't want to do that. It's because they physically cannot. And then in the American system, there's the whole like, yeah, I could refer you to a dietitian, but does your insurance cover the dietitian? Do you need to find an in-network dietitian?
Also, dietitians and nutritionists in America are completely unregulated.
Not entirely true. It's so there is a regulating body that they have, that some of them will be registered with, and that is the good body. However, they are not protected terms like doctor. So yes, there is regulation, but anyone can call themselves a nutritionist. So you need to find one that says certified by whatever the fuck. Olivia Williams says, time to like and subscribe. Thank you for subscribing for 7 months.
It is time to like and subscribe to the Vice Rhino channel.
No, this is the Watering Hole channel. You can go subscribe to Vice Rhino if you want, but it's a very different show. My camera points this way for that one. Yeah. Anyway. Point is, you're the fattest, sickest country on earth because your system sucks. You got to fix the system, and what RFK Jr. is proposing ain't gonna do it. Ben Garrett. I'm sure everybody's seen this one by now. This is in response to Bishop Buddy, who got up on the pulpit and looked Trump directly in the eye at the inauguration prayer ceremony thing or whatever, looked him directly in the eye and was like, can you please have mercy on the vulnerable people that you have promised to do bad things to, who are scared right now? That's what she did. She begged him to have mercy on vulnerable people.
And Ben Garrett said,
and then Ben Garrett says,
sin of empathy.
Do not commit the sin of empathy. This snake is God's enemy and yours too. She hates God and his people. You need to properly hate in response. She is not merely deceived, but is a deceiver. Your eye shall not pity. This is the kind of language that leads to burning
Nazi
people
language.
at the stake.
This is unironically Nazi language in every way, shape, and form. This is the thing you say when your heart is filled with so much hatred that I can't even make it funny. I can't even begin to try to make it funny.
I mean, could make it funny by pivoting to Mike Johnson saying that I think I actually pulled that tweet, but he says that she hijacked the ceremony. It's like, yeah, the bishop hijacked the prayer ceremony.
The bishop presiding over the ceremony?
Yeah, so that's like saying the pilot hijacked the plane. The captain of the ship hijacked the ship. It's just funny. Anyway. Darwin to Jesus says, when an atheist brings up the problem of suffering, just ask them if suffering is actually wrong or not.
I don't think that kids having early onset cancer or HIV passed down from their parents is a good thing. Suffering's wrong, actually.
So here's what I would say. Suffering is not inherently objectively wrong in the sense that apologists and Christians and stuff like to think about. It is wrong in the sense that I know that suffering sucks. I do not like suffering. I have empathy. I have committed the sin of empathy. So I know that if suffering sucks for me, it probably also sucks for you. So hey, why don't we build a society in which we try to minimize the amount of suffering that happens? And then when people do things that cause more suffering, we say, oh, that is bad. And when people do things to mitigate suffering, oh, that is good. Hey, we just determined that suffering is bad and not suffering is good without needing a god. Just because I know that it hurts to stub my fucking toe. So I know that it hurts you if you stub your fucking toe. It's not that hard. And yeah, you can get into the nitty gritty with like, oh, well, that's utilitarianism, and technically utilitarianism can be used to justify genocide. Fuck off with that noise. You guys are justifying a book that has God committing genocide all over the place in it. And you guys apologize for that by talking about how bad the Canaanites were. It's like, okay, so their bad outweighed the bad of genociding them. So that's utilitarianism. Suck it. If you can't justify your God's actions in the Bible without appealing to utilitarianism, you can't say that I'm wrong for appealing to utilitarianism.
Yep.
But also it's more nuanced than that. I have a whole video on as like compassionate utilitarianism. If you cannot, like, sure, enslaving a country, like conquering and enslaving a country could potentially alleviate suffering in another country. But we can't actually know that for sure.
And usually with utilitarianism, you're trying to aim for net suffering being reduced.
Yeah, okay, well, the country that you're enslaving is smaller than the big one. So there's enslaving them causes less suffering than it's alleviating by having free labor. That's the argument. And it's like, okay, but we need to use compassionate utilitarianism where we can't actually know that for sure. So doing a big bad action like that should probably not be done because we can't foresee all the consequences. So let's just assume the thing that has always been bad in the past will continue to be bad in the future.
Also, the argument that this is what I've had fun with before. The argument that the smaller nation suffering for the good of the larger nation actually lowers the amount of net suffering. You can throw wrenches into that by pointing out that actually having generations believing that slavery is okay
is suffering in and of itself.
It is suffering in and of itself. So like there's ways to work around that without even having to leave utilitarianism as a rule.
I don't think compassionate utilitarianism leaves that.
No, I'm not saying that it does or doesn't. I'm saying that there are ways that you can still operate within, just like when somebody tries giving that argument, to just say, hey, without even modifying it, the calculations are wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Suffering is not inherently wrong in and of itself, but because I have feelings, I can determine that it is wrong. Easy peasy. Elon Musk. I don't remember if we covered this before. We might have. But he said if we stop having baby humans, there will be no more humanity.
Who said that? Who's the antinatalist saying that we're going to stop having babies? Did you know that leftists who are pro-abortion still want to have babies? Mm-hmm. Did you know that? It's weird. That. So awkward.
I don't know, but I forget what this. There was a picture that went along with that, and I remember there was something stupid with it, but I forget exactly what it was. But I find it interesting that he has this opinion, while also, well, no, he is pro-immigration in some senses. That caused a bit of a rift in MAGA world, but like he says that we have there's a problem with not having enough people, and then he says, but we need to be super duper restrictive in who we let into the country and what people we let into the country. It's like, hey, There are people that want into the country, and you say we don't have enough people in the country. Why don't you just let the people in the country, and then that solves the problem?
We go back to that previous conversation of if you have different people of different races in
Yeah,
your country intermingling, is that a good or bad thing? I think it's a neutral thing. I don't think it fucking matters that much to think about. If people come out more brown, who cares? Like, technically, I would say it's a good thing because diversity makes people more tolerant. But
yeah.
from a purely mechanical standpoint, it just doesn't fucking matter. It's okay for people to intermingle. Any argument
it's good actually.
Like any argument that we shouldn't have people immigrate because of intermingling is one step away from an argument about how miscegenation is bad.
So from purely a genetic fitness level, it is actually best to reproduce with someone whose genes are as different from yours as possible.
And that gives us the most ways to like fight against diseases and shit.
This is not always the case, but the easiest shorthand for that without getting into genetic testing is obvious racial characteristics, like skin color. So from a scientific perspective, now that leads to eugenics pretty quick, so I don't actually like that. I'm not saying we should have like forced miscegenation to get the best genes. But like,
nah, I'll fucking say it. I love Latinas, Sonic.
But like, no, just like worrying about mixing the races is just, it's stupid. It's stupid. Just like, don't worry about it. Race is a social construct. We made it up. There is more genetic diversity within Africa than there is between. Now, when I say within Africa, I mean like, not the white people that invaded later. The people that were there first, and yes, I'm including South Africa as white people that invaded later, But yeah, there's more diversity within Africa than there is between anyone from Africa and anyone else on the planet. So. Race don't matter. At least the things that we commonly associate with race. Racism is stupid, just like any other bigotry. Forrest Valkai has a whole talk on that, and it is wonderful.
We made up races before we had sequenced DNA.
Yeah.
So we made up races back when we had no idea what the fuck a genetic makeup of a race was.
That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say that without sounding problematic, and I kind of fumbled a little bit, but Peggy Jace fixed it. Non-African genetic diversity is a subset of African diversity. Thank you, Peggy Jace. Yeah, I've yet to find a government form that allows me to check my race as human. That's because it is a social construct, as is the government. Now, to say that something is a social construct is not to dismiss it as unimportant, because that does.
Money is a social construct.
Yeah, because that does happen a lot. So I'm not saying this like, oh yeah, no, we can all like pretend to be colorblind, like racist people like to say that they are.
Also, nobody's colorblind.
Yeah.
Not a single goddamn person on the planet is actually colorblind. Every single one of us has a schema about a different type of person, whether it be based on race, color, ethnicity, creed. We all have some kind of predisposition about those people.
And ignoring that is not going to make it better.
Yeah, it's okay to recognize it. It just makes you human. All you have to do is recognize that you do that, and then you don't do anything with it. It's okay to look at somebody of a different race and be worried for a second because you had a bad experience sometimes or you heard something bad sometime. It's okay to have that feeling as long as you're willing to look into yourself, recognize that feeling is there, don't dismiss it, and don't act on it. It's okay to have those internal feelings.
Because if you ignore it, then even if you mean the best, then you are going to end up acting on it without necessarily intending that to be why you are acting that way. So if you pretend that you are colorblind, you'll actually be worse than if you acknowledge it, you can do better. But if you don't acknowledge it, you never will. Anyway, moving on.
What's that
Hakeem
Avenue
Jeffries.
Q song? Everyone's a little bit racist.
So Hakeem Jeffries says, "Presidents come and presidents go. Through it all, God is still on the throne." To which I say, how it's a good thing I don't take shits that long.
It's the most tone-deaf thing you possibly can say. Because if you're going to do that whole God is still on the throne, then you are recognizing that God sanctioned this.
I'm going to need you to acknowledge my poop joke.
It was too shitty. I'm sorry.
Because like that was what I got when I first read this, was like, oh, God's taking a really long shit then. So, but yeah, no, if you believe, that's the thing. If you believe the Bible says that God chooses world leaders, which means that the right wing is right when they say that God chose President Trump. I mean, he also chose Biden to rake up the terms, and he chose Obama before that. So it's really weird that God can't make up his mind whether he wants a Democrat or a Republican to run the country. But yeah, no, the Bible says that God chooses the world leaders. So if you actually believe the Bible, then you have to believe that God chose Trump.
Yeah, and if God chose Trump, then he's got a sick sense of humor and probably deserves deicide.
Yep, I'm not gonna disagree with that.
I mean, it's okay to talk about killing a fictional being.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? Get off his throne about it?
But he didn't get the bidet, so he needs to take a shower afterwards. Yeah, you know, it's a whole thing. So he's just use it.
Just use a wet wipe. Just wash your hands afterwards, but like use a wet wipe. It's fine.
Wait, do you not wash your hands afterwards if you use a bidet? Because I still wash my hands afterwards.
You should wash your hands afterwards after going to the bathroom at all. I'm just saying.
Yeah, every time.
You don't have to wash your hands if you go to the shower, because ideally
you wash your hands in the shower.
Any good shower involves washing your hands.
Yeah, but in preparation for the shower, you were probably touching things that I would rather you not touch if you haven't washed your hands. So I would still wash my hands and then get in the shower.
I feel like you can just scrub the parts down in the shower that you're worried about.
No, I'm talking about like parts of the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm talking about parts of the bathroom too. Okay. So hold on. Let me make this. Let me give context for this. So, my bathroom.
Sir, shits in the shower confirmed.
My bathroom. The only thing between the toilet and being in the bathtub is a single curtain. And it's a plastic curtain.
Mine too, but there's a window right there, and you might put your hand on the windowsill.
What? Yeah, ours doesn't have...
Ours has a window.
Ours has a window that is one of the like tiny small ones that is technically above your head. Like, you're not putting your hand there.
Yeah,
you have to really
My point
awkwardly
is,
reach to do
there
that.
are things in my bathroom that you could touch on your way to the shower. And so I just say, just wash your hands.
You're going to touch those things on the way to
hands.
washing your hands as well.
No, just wash your hands.
Just
wash your goddamn hands.
Just
all the
wash
time.
your hands again. Just
all
wash your
time.
hands again.
Okay, there is OCD in my family.
Oh, hold on. Can I say something mean?
What?
If you guys, any of you who play card games, any of you guys who play card games at all, if you go to the restroom at your LGS and you find that somebody like got out of the bathroom and didn't wash their hands, you should probably make it a point to inform all the other players at your LGS that person didn't wash their hands, because they're going to be handling other people's cards. This is one part public service announcement and one part me 100% believing. Oh my God, hold on.
DS says, seriously, why do bathrooms have windows? Okay, so in the house that I'm in now, this is new to me. I have never before lived somewhere that has a first floor bathroom with a window. So I'm like, the idea that I could be wiping my butt while making direct eye contact with someone that is walking past, because like the bottom of the window is frosted, but not the top. And I'm tall enough that like I can be making direct eye contact with someone walking on the sidewalk outside my house while I'm wiping my butt. So like, yeah, we are going to be putting like a peel and stick frosting type thing on that soon.
Like So the window that we have is located far enough above that you can't see anything. Like you're not seeing into where we are. We're on the top of a hill.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to.
All the fun stuff. So my parents' bathroom is not that way. So there was one day where Saki was running down to pick up. I forget what it was. It was something we needed for the yard, and it was in my parents' it was behind the barn in my parents' place. So my mom's in the shower. I did not know this. And my mom's husband did not tell us this. So Saki's running down, and I didn't find out until 10 minutes later when my mom comes out, basically fussing to her husband, my stepdad, hey, maybe you could have waited a second before saying they could go down to the barn real quick, because their bathroom is huge and has like 2 or 3 windows, and I don't understand what the purpose of them is. Like, maybe you want to look out like with your wiener out. I don't know, but why is it like that?
Yeah, awkward bathrooms are fun. Oh yeah, speaking of racism, Riley Gaines, person who's famous for complaining about having to be tied 5th place with a trans person, says upgrade of the century, and then just shows a picture of the former press secretary and the current press secretary. And the only difference that is apparent from the picture is one's black, one's white.
She's a white blonde.
And there were many conservative accounts, Republican accounts, posting this exact thing. Slightly different pictures usually, but there were many of them where this is all they were saying, is that it was a good upgrade or whatever. Can you just not be overtly racist? Can you just not?
They can't.
It's not a dog whistle. Funny? It's just a fucking blowhorn.
By pointing out that it looks racist, they then get to do the fun deflection technique.
Yeah, they'll get to be like, "Oh no, we're talking about how
you're the only one who's talking about race."
Yeah, no, we were referring to the fact that she was answering questions in a way we didn't like. Oh no, it's like, no, you weren't. We all know you weren't. Shut the fuck up. This is about race. This is why you're doing this. This is why people are not criticizing the former press secretary for things that she did or things that she said. They're just posting a picture where you can only see the superficial.
This is, again, one of the reasons why I'm really starting to appreciate Innuendo Studios more, because of the stance about not debating these fuckers that he takes. Where he's like, hey, well, these people are just playing a fucking word game. They're playing a word game, and it works way better when they have an audience. This is why I made a video that should be coming out tomorrow that is basically just, hey, here's how you convince somebody of a thing. So you do it in private, you do it in an intimate setting, and you use the Socratic method, and then you first remember that you can't fucking convince anybody of anything.
Yeah.
Like, you lead them to water and you hope they drink.
Zaras says, my grandparents' bathroom window faced their neighbor's bathroom window about 10 feet away.
They just stare at each other with their cocks out.
Whoever designed that had a kink. Oh yeah, Plow King says they sent Dr. Phil on ice raids. Yes, they did. They sent Dr. Phil on ice raids. There was actually there's a fucking I think I saw this in this. It was in the same Jon Stewart clip as the other stuff that I was complaining about earlier with Jon Stewart, but this bit was a bit funny. Dr. Phil went on the ice raids, and one of the guys that the ice was arresting was like, "Hey, you're Dr. Phil," and Dr. Phil was like, "How do you know me?" Like, because you're fucking Dr. Phil. There's like one fucking thing that anyone could possibly know you from, and everybody knows you from that.
Wait, Dr. Phil was on one of the raids?
Yes. They're getting reality TV stars to fucking
do ice
cosplay
raids?
as ice raid people. I
would like to return to my conversation about the legitimacy of arson. Just for science.
Yeah, Jon Stewart made fun of it, and it wasn't very funny in my personal opinion. Yeah, so was that because that part wasn't very funny, or was that because it was in the middle of a video where he was basically engaged in fascism apologetics? Because I did not find the vast majority of that video to be very funny either. I found it to be rather complicit.
Coming this fall, Celebrity ice raids. We're about to tell how brown you really are.
Yeah, and if you're too brown, you go to Guantanamo Bay.
Apparently. That's what I'm going to be talking about after we're done on here.
5 days ago when I said we're 2 steps away from camps, I apparently gave them too much credit. We were only 1 step away. Stu Peters says, this is what happens when you let a woman serve in combat, when you let women serve in combat roles. So this was a video of that plane there crashing while the pilot ejects, and in this blurry screenshot, it looks like the parachute is a boob.
I'm trying to figure out what's...
So
a mistake was made in flight, and now they're using a parachute to get out. Like, that's what you would expect, right?
Well,
you want the pilot to fucking die?
Well, that's
like,
the thing, though.
What's the conversation here?
I assumed that when I looked into this, I would find that the pilot was female, and I was going to be looking for, like, why did the plane crash? Like, what led to the plane crash? Was it the pilot's fault? Was it the plane's fault? Turns out it was probably the plane's fault. There was a mechanical error as they were trying to land. However, none of the news articles I saw, except for one, said anything about the pilot other than it was a pilot. Didn't even guess at the gender. It was using they pronouns for them, talking about how the pilot is recovering in hospital and there's no serious injuries. There was only one article that referred to the pilot as he. And as far as I can tell, that was just because they assumed that pilot equals boy. Because they're like, we don't know who the pilot is. So what does this fucking have to do with women in combat roles?
Bugs Bunny wears gloves.
I don't get the characters that wear gloves are hiding things. I know that. No, is a thing
it's about the assumption of default gender. Because Bugs Bunny only having to wear gloves and not having to cover up any other part of his body is because male is considered the default. Therefore, to make a cartoon character that is female, you take the default and you add something to it, usually a dress or something, where they can have all the same characteristics as Bugs Bunny, but now there's a dress and that makes them a girl. It's a comment on how society.
Babs wear a dress?
Babs?
I thought Babs was just a curvier version of Bugs. I might be wrong. It's been a long time since I watched Looney Tunes. No, Babs Bunny.
Because, like, if it's Sonic the Hedgehog...
Okay, no, Babs is the kid.
Yeah, Lola Bunny is the one, and Lola Bunny does wear a dress.
They both... Oh, that was the stupid thing that I was telling you about earlier, that I tried to get it to say something. It's finally said something.
When it's Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse gets the dress. When it's Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man gets the bow. Mm-hmm. When it's Sonic the Hedgehog, Amy Rose gets the dress. And in most older cartoons, if your male is an anthropomorphic animal that doesn't have to wear clothes, your female wears clothes by comparison as a point of contrast.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I was just saying I seem to recall
right. So when
that
I'm
not being
saying
the case in one specific scenario, and now that I'm looking at pictures, I realize that I am wrong. However, I'm glad that I did not search this while you guys could see what I'm searching for, because apparently Lola Bunny is a very popular character.
Yes, she is.
For not stream appropriate.
Yeah, fur is the key word there. But so the reason I said that is it's about society's proclivity to default male for any role that we have not filled in with actual information. So in this case, we have a pilot, and without any information, we default that role is a male role.
Yeah, but I mean... But to play the anti-woke countercard to that, if it was a nurse, we would default assume it was a woman.
Yes, because nurse has been considered a gendered role in the past because it was a hierarchical role, because you had nurses serving doctors. That's why.
Yeah, I know the reasons.
It's also a patriarchy. Even when you win, they win.
Yeah.
Pepper T21 and Cherry T21, thank you both for subscribing. I appreciate it.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, I don't know why he thought this was a woman. Maybe because it's because the parachute's a boob. That's why. And I have to make it that blurry, otherwise I'll get censored.
Because you don't want people to know you like tits. That would ruin everything.
But I do like tits.
But you can't let them know that.
My partner knows that.
Wink, wink. You can't let them know that.
Why not?
Because it would ruin everything.
I actually had a comment on one of my videos. I don't know what I said in the video that made them say this, but they said something about like, oh, so I don't believe such and such because we have confirmation from other things that Rhino is actually a tits man. Which I found very amusing because, like, okay, first off, I don't remember what I put in that video that made you comment on me tits versus ass. Right, it was Kyle Butt. I made a joke at the beginning where I was like, I miss Kyle's butt. I mean Kyle Butt. And so they were like, oh no, that's not true because Rhino's a tits man. And I was like, I'm actually an ass man. I don't know where you got the idea that I'm a tits man from. Maybe because we talk about them more because they're funnier than butts. Sometimes I don't know.
I'm a tits guy. I'm take it or leave it on ass, but I'm definitely a tits guy.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that they were so confident that they know my preference between tits and ass, but were wrong. It's just funny to me. Yeah, butts are pretty funny. They do fart. But that's a different kind of funny than sex funny. Unless you're into farts sexually, which I am not. Anyway, before this gets any weirder, let's move on. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we get the if you're at a table with 9 Nazis, then guess what? There's 10 Nazis.
Fucking Christ.
So I like Teslas says, my friends know I'm a diehard Elon fan, so if they think Elon is a Nazi, they expect me to stop being a fan. If I don't, then I'm also a Nazi in their eyes. Yeah, that's if you're at a table with 9 other Nazis. Guess what? It's a table of 10 Nazis.
It's a table of 10 Nazis because you're there.
Yeah.
Also, Pepper T21, thank you for gifting out 25 community subs.
Nice. Good thing that
Jesus
didn't happen on my
Christ.
end because then we'd just be hearing your ooh over and over again.
Well, that is enough that is enough to force me to do it anyway. So this time for money.
Ooh.
You get the happier oohs when you do it with money. Yeah, so if I don't, then I'm also a Nazi in their eyes. That is what's happening to my relationship outside of the Tesla world. It's a trough one, he wrote, but I assume tough one. That's an easy mistake to make. It's a tough one, but I have to do what is right and keep supporting Elon because I believe he is a force for good. Okay. If you believe that someone who you are acknowledging might be a Nazi is a force for good, then that means you believe the Nazis are a force for good. Which means you're a Nazi. I don't know how else to look at this.
Yeah.
Like he acknowledges that, like, yeah, Elon might be a Nazi. They think he's a Nazi. Like, they think he's a Nazi, and then I'm a Nazi in their eyes just for saying that I support Elon and think that his Nazi-ness is a good thing. Like, yeah. If it quacks like a duck and looks like a duck and steps like a goose.
It's probably goose stepping. Nami the Neko, thank you for resubscribing.
Senator Tim Kaine says GOP members complaining about the reduction of military standards while using a chart that misspells the word military. There's DEI in our military.
In our military.
Military. Yeah. I mean, I picture that coming out like with the southern drawl. Like, you know, say the government. Military. Like,
how do you so out of curiosity, if you were a person with a southern drawl, how would you spell government? Because we actually had a disagreement about this on stream last night. I'm of the opinion it's GUB apostrophe MENT, but apparently there are dissenting opinions where the E is truncated as well.
It could also be a V instead of a B. Like instead of government, it's government.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I disagree, but I hear what
Yeah,
you're saying.
so that's Fennec says government. That's what I was getting at. My own and Stankfoot just resubscribed for 6 months, so thank you for that. And they said howdy with their resubscription. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Asina says government, GO''MENT.
Progress only says gooberment.
It's one step left from gubernatorial.
Pega J says gummint. I could see that one as well.
The government.
Gummint.
Government ain't gonna
Gummint gonna get my guns.
Government. Yeah, that's funny. That's another one. I can't wait for the next dumb motherfucker who knows what I do for my work to say something about Democrats with guns. I'm just going to turn around to them and say, and how many of your guns have the Democrats successfully banned? How many of your guns don't exist? Not, did you lose a bump stock? I don't fucking care about your bump stock. I care about the gun, the thing that actually shoots the bullet. Did it get banned? Did it get banned under Clinton? Did it get banned under Obama? Did it get banned under Biden? Which one came for your gun and took it? When did it happen?
Me.
Because if it didn't
I'm
happen with
coming for
any
your
of
gun.
them,
Because I don't think you should have the gun.
I'm gonna be honest. I think right now, with the way America's going, every fucking person on the left should have a gun. Every single goddamn one of you.
See, I was speaking more from a detached, in a perfect world, America does the same thing that every other sane country does when they got a school shooting, is just like do a massive buyback program and something culturally happens where like nobody has guns anymore. That would be nice. But like, yeah, right now I cannot ethically say you should, like, you person who is in a much more vulnerable position than me should not have a gun. Like
the day after Trump got elected, when I went to the card shop, I went strapped. I do not normally walk outside of my house strapped because I do not normally find the need to. But I was worried that the day after he got elected, somebody somewhere was going to feel lucky and fucking stupid. And now that he is president, guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be going on. Yep. I'm going to be going on Amazon and ordering one of the. There's a type of belt that I need. My regular belt, because my gun is too heavy. It's just problem with it being a steel 9mm. It's too heavy and it tries to drag my pants down. There's a type of belt you can wear that fixes that. I'm going to be getting one of those.
It's called a garter.
Shut up, Rhino.
Garter belt would do the trick. Just saying.
As long as we can get panty and stocking as well.
Agamotto 13 says, Vice Round, do you have a Discord? Yes, but I haven't logged into it since my computer virus situation happened, which I want to say was like 8 months ago.
But no,
I reinstalled everything on my computer and forgot about Discord. So.
Jessa says, my sister and brother-in-law want me to get a weapon, but I don't know. No, Jessa, here's what you need to do. If you have the money, and I know you do because you buy Magic cards. So if you have the money, here's what I suggest you do. I suggest you get a 22 and hollow points. In terms of weapons that you can carry for self-defense, it is one of the lower profile ones. It tends to be cheaper for you to get. The ammunition tends to be cheaper. And then I want you to practice with it. I want you to take a class on it. I want you to get learned in gun safety. How to be safe on a range, how to be safe when carrying it, how to safely store your ammunition, how to safely store your firearm, all that shit. And I don't just want you to do that, Jassa. I want everybody here who has the ability to do that right now.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was some sort of licensing test or whatever that you had to like course that you had to take
that you had to go through
in order to buy a gun? Wouldn't that be nice?
Instead, you get gun, because the gun club here that I'm a member of, when you go to the gun club, the most you get is like a little 20-minute video on gun safety, and then you're off to the range. That's it.
Yeah, no, like I know statistically speaking, if you own a gun, you're more likely to harm yourself or someone in your household than an intruder or whatever. I know all that is true. However, I also know that minorities having access to guns has been a powerful political force in the past, and and they don't even have to use them a lot of time. Like the Black Panthers.
The Black Panther movement would literally just sit and watch cops while holding a rifle.
Yeah,
that's what they would do, and it fucking worked.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I'm not going to sit here in my position of relative privilege and be like, you shouldn't do that because I don't like guns, and I know that statistically you're more like whatever. No, I'm not in a position to make that decision for you. So yeah.
We are at the point now that I think everybody should be armed, not even in preparation of using the weapon.
I disagree. I just can't defend my disagreement.
Not even in preparation to use the weapon, but just because it is a smart idea in the environment we are in right now to have the option to not be a victim.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at the moment.
Anyway. Oh, that was the last tweet.
Hey, look, that's it. Also, General What, thank you for the follow.
All right, that's the last tweet.
Apologies. Expect more angry rants under the current administration.
Oh, yeah. No, there's going to be plenty of that. That's what, like, I am making an effort to pull more lighthearted stuff like the Sunfish guy. And, you know, doing stuff like, I still have Skronky Puddles on a button. Because that's fucking hilarious. The bathroom retraining seems to be going well. She, to the best of my knowledge, she has not peed or pooped inside. Skrunkly, that was the word. She has not peed or pooped inside the house since we moved. And that was part of it was that, like, I know dogs like to pee in the same place a lot. So, like, if they can smell that they have peed there before, they will pee there again. So when we moved in, we were just like, okay, well, we're just going to make sure that there is no dog pee smell inside ever. Mm-hmm. And that's why she's wearing a diaper in that picture, because like she doesn't pee in the diaper, so we're going to keep her in the diaper inside for a little bit. She's now outside. She's out of the diaper, and sometimes she'll come and get us when she needs to use the potty, but we've been pretty good at just letting her out. She does hate the construction because a lot of times we have to like lock her up in the office with me while I'm working. But like, I take her on car. I took her out to Starbucks and got a tea and a pup cup. So, and yeah,
I need to get Growlithe and Chip a couple pup cups again. I've been getting coffee without getting them pup cups. They deserve pup cups.
Yeah, Fennec says dog park. No, not with the weather right now. It's all gross and muddy. Like the dog park here gets very muddy very quick. We do have a fenced in yard now, so she can run around in the yard a lot. But I have to make sure that like when she's outside, the contractors know that she's out there, because otherwise they will like open the gate so they can bring heavy stuff in, and they'll leave it open. And she's a runner, and she thinks being chased is the most fun thing ever. So if she gets out of the gate, she's just gone.
That's what Chip does as well.
Yeah. Yeah, DQ does pup cups. I guess at DQ it's vanilla ice cream. At Starbucks it's whipped cream, but I think they use one of the low fat ones or whatever, because whipped cream is actually like really, really bad for dogs because of all the fat content. Although, like, when the fuck has any fast food place cared about the health of its customers?
Especially not their dogs.
Yeah. All right. So, yep, that's it for tonight. You are streaming, so I will raid you.
Woot!
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I'll be doing a little bit of World of Warcraft, and I'll be doing a little more political content because I've got to talk about the Gitmo stuff.
Yeah, okay. Have fun with that. I'm going to bed. As always,
Woo.
fuck off.